Shy baking. Phew. And done. Sato whipped his forehead with a sweat rag, as he looked down at his work. He had just finished seasoning and preparing meat for tomorrow's dinner. Now all he had to do was put it in the fridge, and leave it to marinate for a while. EAP. Sato suddenly heard a high-pitched voice from behind him. He turned around and saw Fuku standing there in her hoodie with her face covered, looking like a deer in the headlights, and standing just stiffly. "Oh hey, I didn't hear you walk in." Sato greeted the shy girl as gently as possible, trying not to spook her, while also maintaining his distance, in case her quirk activated. Hi, Fuku said tentatively. I am sorry for interrupting. I'll leave now." "Hey, wait a second." Sato called out, causing her to freeze. "You don't have to leave, I was just finishing up here." "It's fine," Fuku said. It's not too important." Fuku nervously shuffled her feet, looking down at the floor with a dejected look on her face. So Sato wasn't gonna let that stand. "Looks pretty important to me," Sato told her. "I heard you liked cooking, were you trying to cook something for your friends?" Fuku flinched at having her intentions revealed, and kept looking away from the muscled teen. "Why yes, Eri, Kei, Kiba, Kyoku and I are gonna have a sleepover in few hours, and I wanted to make some sweets. I haven't really talked to Kyoku much before, but she's Eri and Kei's friend, so I want to be friends with her too, and I really want to make a good first impression." Sato gave the girl a bittersweet smile. On one hand, this girl was adorable. On the other hand, this girl was an anxiety-filled mess, for the most depressing reason. But he could help her right now, even if just a tiny bit. "Hey, why don't I help you out?" Sato offered. "Huh?" Fuku jumped back in surprise, looking at him curiously. "Why would you want to help me?" "Well, that's kind of my job here, kid. It's what your dad is paying us for." Sato chuckled. "And it sounds like fun. I love baking. They don't call me the Superman for nothing, kid. I'll show you a whole new world of sweets." Fuku looked at him nervously, judging his body language and his facial expression, before looking away to silently mull over the offer. "Oh okay," Fuku said almost too quietly for Sato to hear. What do you want to make?" XXXXXXXXXX. Exquisite." Kiba complimented as she bit down on a freshly baked cookie. The 5 girls sat in Kiba's room, sitting around a table, enjoying the various sweets and tea set up there. There were some chocolate chip cookies, mochi, brownies, dorayaki, melon pan, cinnamon buns, and even a small cake, and of course some candy apples. "It's snowy," Kei said as she had a mouth stuffed with brownies. "This is amazing, Fuku," Eri praised as she enjoyed a candy apple with a smile on her face. "Ah." No one could even tell what Kyoku was saying, due to the sheer amount of sweets stuffed into her mouth at the moment. I really didn't do much," Fuku said, her face red as a tomato. "That big guy I think his name is Sato, he was the one who did most of the work. It appears his sweets are even better than his regular meals. I must pay my compliments to him later," Kiba proclaimed, before looking at Fuku. "But we also must pay our compliments to you too, Fuku. After all, not too long ago, you wouldn't even allow Kei and the rest of us in your room. Now you're going up to people you only barely know, and asking them for assistance. Such growth should be congratulated. Come, everyone. It's time for congratulatory head pats." "No!" Fuku cried, as all her friends descended upon her, giving her the human contact she both hated and secretly loved. XXXXXXXXXX. The next night, Sato was also in the kitchen, cleaning up after preparing a meal. Sato heard a familiar voice coming from behind. He looked at the entrance of the kitchen and saw Fuku peeking in from the outside of the door frame. "Oh, Fukunoko. I hope you and the others enjoyed the sweets," Sato said. "Why yes," Fuku said. "They were very good. It's just, seeking you, no it's dumb. I'm sorry for bothering you. You want me to teach you?" Sato guessed. "Ah," Fuku shouted like she was being stuck after her intentions were found out. I'm sorry. I know it would be a waste of your time. After you helped me last night I'm still asking for more. I'm sorry. I'll go back to my room. You'll never see me again, kid." Sato gave her that same smile he gave her last night. "I'd be more than happy to teach you. So calm down." Why?" Fuku asked, looking away once again. "Why you're being nice to someone like me?" I don't get it. I kind of understand why the people who live here are nice to me. This place is made for people like us, but you're not from here. Kid. People are like apples. They're born just normal, regular apples. Pretty regular and average. But they can turn into a lot of things, Sato told her. Midoriya is like a candy apple. He's sweet, and he makes people happy, but you're the Dash, the man that hurt you. He was like a rotten apple. Terrible, disgusting, and he should just go in the trash. I like to think of myself as a candy apple. So naturally, I have to do what I can when someone asks me for help, right? I mean, that's the whole reason I want to become a hero. Fuku stayed silent for a few moments, before speaking up. Is that why you're helping a rotten apple like me? Ah, kid. Sato got down on his knee and looked the girl in the eye. You're not rotten, not even close. Then why are you standing so far away? Fuku asked despondently. Sato cringed, as he realized this wasn't a good look. He couldn't act like he wasn't afraid of her quirk going off. Especially when he was stuck in a room with her. But that wasn't her fault. Listen, I'm not gonna lie, kid. Your quirk is super scary. Sato admitted. But that's not your fault. Tell me, did you choose your quirk? No. Fuku answered immediately. I would never choose this quirk. Then it's not your fault, Sato told her. A person can't be judged by the things forced on them, but how they respond to them. When you got your quirk, did you ever want to use it on someone? No. That would be cruel, Fuku answered, looking sadly at the ground. Even doing that to rotten apples would be mean. And that's why you're definitely not rotten, Sato explained. Some people get unlucky, like you did, with their quirks. They go through hardships like you did, but they think that that is an excuse to hurt people. That because they were hurt, it gives them the right to hurt others. And that's how regular apples turn rotten. But didn't make that decision, you never meant to hurt anyone, and that's what makes you sweet. Fuku looked at him, stunned, before looking away with an intense blush on her face. Ha, Mot BB, I have to go. The girl then immediately bolted out of the room, and Sato heard her quirk go off in the cafeteria. Oh. Sato waited for a moment, and then gave a sigh of relief when he didn't hear any screams. And so after calling Izuku to tell him to make sure everyone steered clear of the cafeteria for a bit, Sato called Momo to ask her how to set up a lesson plan. New moves. Gah! Kiba cried as she was thrown into the wall of the training room. Before Kiba could even try to get up, a huge black hand, belonging to Dark Shadow, grabbed her and threw her into the ceiling. Oh lord! Lady Kiba is getting stomped. Poor Lady Kiba. That UA student is insane. Kiba was currently streaming a fight between herself and Tokoyami/Dark Shadow. Or rather, her getting beat by Tokoyami/Dark Shadow. The room was almost completely dark. With only very dim lights, and the door was also shut. Meaning that Dark Shadow was nearly at full power. Tokoyami considered this to be good training for both of them, as Kiba needed more fight experience, and he needed more training on how to restrain Dark Shadow. Of course, he wasn't doing a very good job of it. Rah! Dark Shadow roared, as he smashed Kiba around the room. Eventually, Kiba was smashed down into the floor, and pinned by Dark Shadow's huge mass. Grrrr. Kiba tried to fight back, to lift Dark Shadow off of her, but to no avail. Dark Shadow was just too strong. Alright, that's enough, said Izuku over the speakers in the training room. Immediately, the lights turned on, and the door opened, revealing Netsu on the other side. Netsu then shot out a flamethrower attack at Dark Shadow, causing it to shrink very quickly. Ragh! Dark Shadow cried as it tried to block the attack, to no avail, as it shrunk more and more. Eventually, Dark Shadow went back to normal size, and Netsu stopped his assault. Thank you, Tokoyami said to Netsu, as he was recovering from Dark Shadow's full power before he turned to Kiba. I apologize, I still have issues controlling Dark Shadow's full capabilities. He has a hard time controlling that. Dude, imagine if that got unleashed in the city. Absolutely terrifying. Glad he's not a villain. Train harder, please. Well, at least we know they have a weakness. Endeavor would stomp. Humph. Kiba pouted, as she pulled herself off the ground, and dusted herself off. Don't apologize. You're still learning. And so am I. I have still yet to tap into my full potential. If I had, I would have easily defeated you. Kiba said all of this in a tone that displayed how sour she was at her loss. Sore loser Kiba is so precious. I love her. Even when losing, Lady Kiba looked elegant. Don't worry, my queen. Just wait until your body grows larger. Kiba got up and walked over to the camera, turning off night vision and addressing her audience. That will be all for today, my minions. I will see you at a later time. XXXXXXXXXX. After getting treated at the infirmary, Kiba wandered around the backyard with a pout on her face. That cursed shadow is too strong. Kiba lamented. I must find a way to become more powerful. But how? I'm already training as much as I can without burning myself out. As Kiba pondered this conundrum, she saw Kirishima and Ojiro sparring in the court. There was a ring around them on the floor, so it appeared that whoever exited the ring would lose. The Tailman versus the one with enhanced durability. This will be a rather simple match. Kiba decided. How did Tailman even make it into U.A with a quirk like his? Deciding to watch out of curiosity, Kiba stood nearby and viewed the fight. Kirishima charged forward, with his arm and fist hardened, trying to punch Ojiro. Ojiro used his tail, and pushed himself into the air, flipping over Kirishima and landing behind him, before sweeping around with his tail. Kirishima held up his arm and guarded against the tail sweep, and once it was blocked, Ojiro jumped backward. To put distance between them. The hardening hero then jumped up and tried to punch Ojiro, but Ojiro swerved out of the way, jumped up behind Kirishima, spun around, and then smacked the fake redhead in the back, flinging him out of the ring. Nanny! Kiba thought in bewilderment. Kirishima tumbled onto the ground outside the ring, eventually coming to a stop on his back. Crap. You okay? Ojiro asked, as he ran out of the ring, and offered his hand to his classmate. Yeah, I'm fine. Kirishima flashed his classmate a sharp-toothed grin, and took his hand, allowing Ojiro to pull him up. You there? Kiba came running and catching both of their attention. Oh, Lady Kiba. Kirishima smiled at her. Good to see you out and about again. Kiba stopped for a moment to smile back at Kirishima. It's good to be back, but now. Tailed one, explain yourself. Huh? Ojiro gave her a confused look. You not only managed to get into U.A, but also managed to defeat someone whose quirk allowed them to withstand my blows. All of this despite your simplistic quirk. Kiba said, not wanting to directly insult his quirk. Well, my tail is actually a lot stronger than it looks, Ojiro explained. But, the main reason is because I practice martial arts. Martial arts? Kiba asked, tilting her head. Yeah, it's basically learning how to fight hand-to-hand, or I guess in my case, hand and tail-to-hand, Ojiro explained sheepishly. It can be pretty essential for people who have to fight hand-to-hand, with an opponent that's just as strong, or even stronger than you. Opponents that's just as strong, or even stronger than you. Those words were repeated in Kiba's head, as an idea formed in her head. If that's the case, then teach me these martial arts, Kiba demanded. Oh. Ojiro was taken aback by this sudden request. I mean, I guess it'll be useful. What's the worst that could happen? XXXXXXXXXXXX. I'm very sorry, Kiba said as he gave an apologetic bow to Ojiro, who was covered in bandages, and laid up in a bed in the infirmary. How did this even happen? Izuku asked as he stood in the infirmary with his daughter. He'd finally felt well enough to stand again, and now this happened. Well, you see we ran out of punching bags, so, I thought that if we were careful, she could spar with me, Ojiro said. That did not turn out so well. Izuku couldn't help but facepalm internally. Okay, never do that again. If you're going to continue teaching her, then you'll either have to use the restraints made for her or wait for the advanced training dummy replacement that can actually withstand Kiba's power. What happened to the old one? Kiba asked. Sansan melted it, Izuku answered, before turning back to Ojiro. Thank you for trying to teach her though. I think martial arts could really help her, although if you don't want to continue I'd understand. No, I think I'll continue, once I've recovered, and we get that training dummy, Ojiro said. Very good, wise instructor. I'll take even greater care, not to break you next time. Kiba said with blazing determination in her eyes. Please do. Izuku and Ojiro said at the same time.